Just a robot.
So because of the new Star Wars trilogy, there has been a lot of talk about Mary Sue's, and also Gary Stu's. People who didn't like Rey called her a Mary Sue, people who wanted to defend the new trilogy said Luke Skywalker was a Gary Stu. Now I will admit, Rey and Luke do have a lot of similarities between them, and Luke does have a few Gary Stu qualities. After all, the first time he ever used the Force, he blew up the Death Star, which is a battle station the size of a small moon. And he's also the son of the Chosen One who will bring balance to the Force. But then again, Luke was being beaten up by a sand person and had to be saved by a Jedi, while Rey took on two people by herself and didn't need any saving. Luke, for the most part, had to learn how to use the Force, while Rey can master every single Force ability, including Force Lightning, without any training at all. Rey knows more about the Millennium Falcon than Han Solo! And without any training with a lightsaber, she can go toe-to-toe with a guy who was trained by Luke Skywalker. Now, the term Mary Sue was originally created in 1973, a few years before Star Wars even started. An author by the name of Paula Smith wrote a Star Trek parody story where the main character's name was Mary Sue. The story was made to make fun of Star Trek fanfiction, which often had main characters who were absolutely perfect in every single way. In other words, they were Mary Sue's before the term Mary Sue was even a thing. There are different levels to Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's. If you want to call Luke a Gary Stu, you can if you want to, but you will also have to say Rey is a Mary Sue. Also, no, power level does not really decide if a character is a Gary Stu or a Mary Sue. Yeah, Krillin would be a Gary Stu in many other series with his power level, but since he's in Dragon Ball where everybody's crazy powerful, the only Gary Stu moment he really gets is hooking up with 18. Another good example for a Gary Stu is Harry Potter from, Harry Potter. More so in the first book and first movie than anything else in the series. When Harry Potter first entered the Wizarding World, pretty much everybody loved him. Why? Because he killed the Dark Lord when he was a baby.
Skip it up and that up.
He has a vault full of gold, and his best friend is poor to make himself look more rich in comparison. Despite being in a school full of kids who grew up in a world full of magic, Harry Potter is the only one to make his broom fly to his hand. And then he immediately learns how to fly on the broom and becomes the youngest seeker in Hogwarts history. I could go on, but I think you get the idea. But then, why do people hate Rey so much more than Harry Potter? As I said before, there's different levels to Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's. Pretty much every main character from anything ever have a few Mary Sue and Gary Stu qualities to them. Goku was raised by Gohan, one of the strongest fighters on Earth, and he's descendant from an alien warrior race. But he also trains a lot, sometimes for years without stopping. And no matter how strong Goku gets, there's always someone stronger. And many characters in the series have a lot more unfair advantages compared to Goku. Naruto starts off with the power of the Nine Tails, the most powerful tailed beast at that time. He's a descendant from the 4th Hokage, and he's a reincarnation of the son of the Sage of Six Paths. That was a lot of Vs. But the reason why not too many people call Naruto a Gary Stu is, well, he was socially isolated for 12 years. And he's also an orphan on top of that. But hold on a second, Just a Robot. Rey was an orphan and also socially isolated. But plenty of people call her a Mary Sue. What's the difference? Well, it's because after Rey meets Finn, she has no issues, no failures, no anything. Anyone she comes across falls at her feet and worships her. Han Solo offered her a job after only knowing her for like 6 hours. Naruto fails constantly and has people look down upon him, or they treat him like an idiot. Remember that scene in the first season of Naruto when Team 7 is jumped by 2 ninjas? Everybody else was able to fight them off, but all Naruto could do was, well, get injured. And then Sasuke made fun of him.
You're not hurt, are you? Scaredy cat.
Could you imagine anything like that happening to Rey in Star Wars? Now, I want to say this. Rey is not a Mary Sue. She is the Mary Sue. She is the reincarnation of the past lives of every Mary Sue, and then she goes into the Mary Sue state to activate all of their powers.
I'm all the Jedi. shut the fuck up. I will fucking laser you with alien fucking eyes and explode your fucking head.
Some people say that Mary Sue is a sexist term, and it can be, but I'll give you an example of a female character who isn't a Mary Sue. Korra.
You know I am a...
Yes, Korra has a few Mary Sue qualities. She is the reincarnation of the Avatar, and both of her male teammates are hitting on her, and she ends up with a female partner at the end. Oh yeah, and she's the first Avatar to ever use metal bending. But she also has to train, and she fails, like, a lot. Honestly, despite Legend of Korra being way shorter than Naruto, I think Korra might have even more failures than Naruto. So now we know the difference between a Mary Sue and someone who just has a few Mary Sue qualities. But what about Gary Stus? Well, look no further than Kirito from Sword Art Online. In the story of Sword Art Online, Kirito along with a whole bunch of other people get trapped within a video game. Pretty much every single female character hits on Kirito. He gets the lolly, the tsundere, the MILF, the furry, and even the basic bitch. Oh yeah, I almost forgot his sister, cousin, is even into him as well. Every supporting character combined doesn't have half the power of Kirito. Anyone who doesn't like Kirito or Kirito doesn't like end up becoming evil, dead, or both. Kirito is the most powerful player. The only one who's more powerful than him is the literal creator of the game, who turns out to be evil and Kirito only loses to once. When he goes into a new game, in just a few days, he defeats the best player. It barely added anything to the story, but he did it anyway because he's Kirito, goddammit. He also gets a unique ability to dual wield. It's not enough that he's the best, he needs to have an unfair advantage on top of being the best already. Personally, I don't understand why dual wielding is a special ability. I honestly think it's something every player should have, or at least have the ability to unlock. If you want him to dual wield, that's fine, but saying he's the only one who can do it is just plain ridiculous. I've seen this done in Black Lagoon as well. The main character's name is Two Hands. Why is she called Two Hands? Because she dual wields two guns. Whoa, dual wielding, that's so impressive. I mean, One Piece came out decades before these two animes, and in the first story arc, Roronoa Zoro can triple wield. And at the end of part 2 of Sword Art Online, Kirito freaking becomes a god of the virtual world. Now I could go on and on about Kirito, but honestly, Sword Art Online deserves its own video.
Sorry about that. I had a bit of a Korra-related situation happening. You know, if you don't know who I am, my name is MRcakeDragonMan. I'm the co-video editor for this video, as well as the guy that's done video editing for Salty DK Dan, Dai Tomodachi, Manga Comment, The Review Cave, just to name a few. But in order to help out Jar, I decided to come over real quick and further prove the point of why Kirito's trash by comparing him to another character, Natsuki Subaru. For those who don't know, Natsuki Subaru is the main character of Re:Zero. Now you're probably thinking, just by looking at him, he's been given some sort of bullshit superpowers and that he is probably the biggest OP'est character in the entire show. Well, you're fucking wrong. This motherfucker dies on a day-to-day basis. He dies so much that his power is dying and coming back to a specific point that he can't even choose. The moment that he's sent to the isekai world of Lagoon, he's essentially thrusted in thinking that he is the main character, that he is someone so important that he has to have some sort of cool special power. Sad to say, that's not the case. In fact, we are fucking hammered this down again and again and again and again. Every single death being more gruesome than the other, because fuck you. Now, comparing Subaru to Kirito, you can see major differences between both of them. For one, Subaru, like Kirito, isn't a fucking goddamn judo master. Apparently Kirito can learn kung fu. He isn't a beta tester, he's just a normal fucking guy who just likes video games and is a hikikomori. And more importantly, women aren't flocking over to Natsuki Subaru. He literally earns every single girl's trust that ends up falling in love with him, having a crush on him, even admiring as a friend. He has to earn it. Kirito, on the other hand, has one episode with a bitch, and they're immediately in his fucking harem, including his little sis cousin Lifa. Alright, that's all I have to say.
Now, I mostly made this video because I'm tired of people saying, people who call Ray a Mary Sue are sexist, and they hate women. If there was a guy this powerful, they wouldn't say anything about it. Even though Kirito has been bashed for the same reason as Ray. Granted, he hasn't been bashed as much, but Star Wars is way more popular than Sword Art Online. And the other reason why I made this video is because Gary Stus and Mary Sues aren't exactly the same in every way. The qualifications for being a Gary Stu are slightly different than the qualifications for being a Mary Sue. For one thing, guys are way more into having a harem than a girl is. You don't see Ray hooking up with 7 different characters in the same way you see Kirito doing that.
My eyes have seen the glory of the cleansing of YouTube, debunking SJWs and feminazis too. We criticize reactionists in hopes they get the boot, just to roll on marches on